Hey guys, I'm Rob. That's Karen. I call her mom. Welcome to another episode of Alt Universe Live, the show where we talk all things nerdy, geeky, and fandom-ish. I don't know what the adjective is yet, but we'll figure it out. Sometimes with a little bit of education in the mix. So without further ado, let's go. Hello.
All right. Hey, Rob, I'm so excited about this show. This is our first one out the gate, and we're talking about something I know nothing about, which is always fun. We're talking about what you call cute Pokemon. So, really, what the heck is a cute Pokemon?
All right, so just to be clear, there are over 800 Pokemon at this point in the games, anime, and manga. So this is just for today. I can never pick just one. So for those of you going, how can you only have four? Trust me, tomorrow I'll have like 16 others that I love.
Okay.
All right, so Pokemon in general is one of the largest franchises in the world, created by the Pokemon Company and Game Freak. For those of us who are like me, we got this back in the 80s and 90s via Game Boy, and then eventually over to the anime, which always premiered here after because being a Japanese show, they always got it, I believe, I think a month or two before, however TV works, and then it shows up here. As time went on, more and more games, more and more systems, and more fun was to be had. We are now on Gen 9, actually, coming in November. I already know what my holiday present's going to be, so that's going to be fun. But we have 9 generations of Pokemon with a brand new game coming soon. Generally cute. Generally Pokemon are descriptive. You can see all my posters behind. We have all the EVs up there. So you have Pokemon that are cute and cuddly. You have some that are big and strong. You have some that you're like, why is this based off of a keychain? I don't know. And you have all sorts of weird and random decisions. On today's, as you mentioned, we're talking just a few cute ones. So you asked what I signify as cute. Well, for me, it's kind of the underrated but still adorable looking Pokemon. While most of these Pokemon are very popular, actually, they're all very popular, they don't always get the limelight as I think they should. So I guess I'm going to pop into our first one, and I'm excited about this guy here. I have no idea why, but he is a Doduo. So this little guy here, he sits on my desk. He keeps me company. He helps me get through my videos. So this guy takes us to Gen 1. And when I say Gen 1 or Gen 2, that's the generation. So Gen 1 is the first generation that we've ever had. It's called the Kanto region, spelled Kanto. Excuse me, for those who met Ash Ketchum in the anime, that's where he comes from. That's where we start the anime from. This little guy really, well, so using Bulbapedia, one of my favorite websites of all time, to kind of break down the move sets and all that, the namesake Doduo comes from the words dodo and duo. Now, what's weird is that this is more of an ostrich. Come on now, people. This is not a dodo bird, which has gone extremely long. But the word duo comes from the double head,
I was
obviously.
going to
So
say, he has
basically,
two heads. I
yeah,
mean,
so basically he is a double-headed ostrich. Um, Now, this guy is interesting. He's been in the limelight for a few major appearances. Throughout most of the episodes in the Kanto region in Gen 1, we've seen him in the showdown at Poke Corral, Pikachu's Vacation, and Lights Camera Quaction, just to name a few. This is one of those Pokemon that shows up everywhere, but only rarely actually is used to its full potential. In one particular episode, I believe it was the showdown at Poke Corral, where there's actually a race, and one of the racers rides the evolution of this guy known as Dodrio, and it's a giant-sized three-headed ostrich. And that's the first time you get to see this thing actually in action. However, the joke is because there's more than one head, they don't like each other and there's always fighting. So if you ever see one doing that, don't go near it because it's probably going to attack.
so Rob, I'm going to put you on solo camera again so everyone can really see this,
Look how
Doduo.
cute he is, huh?
He really
Right.
is. He's very cute.
So as we go through, so as I mentioned before, some of the other things that we have the manga. Now, for those who don't know what manga is, it's basically a comic book, but Japanese style drawing and writing. Most of the time, it is in Japanese, though many of the ones nowadays are obviously translated for us. I have a few. They're They're not hard to follow if you know the stories. However, if you want to start from the beginning, you're going to be spending a lot of money because there's probably a zillion at this point. But you get to see the story. Now, in this particular guy has shown up in two main ones called How You Do Pikachu and Panic at the Festival. And
Okay.
it's actually cute. I don't know if I can send this picture to you really quick to share, but it
I'm
kind of
not
shows
sure.
what. Let me see if I can send it. Can I send a picture to you? No, I can't.
I don't think so, but you can share it from yours if you'd like.
Oh, I can. Okay, let me. Uh,
I think on the bottom there's a little button that says share screen. Well, if
oh,
not, we'll.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what that is. So let me share really quick. Can I
Okay.
share on my screen?
And then you have
Oh,
to
there it is. Okay. So
let me
you'll
turn it
see
on.
this little guy here. Oh, hello.
Whoops, whoops.
There's a lot of us. Let's undo.
I'm gonna
Okay,
undo
let's
that.
undo that. Anywho, I was just going to show the fact that in the manga, it's a black and white photo. It definitely looks more cartoony than usual. And then, of course, you have all of the games. So we know him in there. It gets kind of confusing. There's Red Fire, Green Leaf, Blue something, and Electric Pikachu. Those are the first four Game Boy games. They're the same exact games. However, you get different versions of different characters in each individual one. But being that this guy's in all of them, you can find him in all the games there. For those of you who saw the movie Detective Pikachu, where Ryan Reynolds voiced Pikachu, one of these guys showed up there as well. And then let me just go down to the fun facts. I'm skipping over the move set for all these guys. I know a lot of people watch it for that. There's so many individual usages for how you play the game. So there's so many moves, and I guess I can just kind of introduce what that means. Being a typing that it is, so there's different types. There's normal type, there's flying, there's fairy, there's dark. They can all learn certain moves. Um, the weird part, though, is that as the games evolved, you ended up teaching moves to ones that you would never think. So, for instance, an electric type knows how to learn water moves, which doesn't make any sense. So, at some point in time, somebody in the game system decided, what the hell, let's just make everybody learn everything because that's just fun. So, we're not going to go over the moves necessarily. I'm going to put them down in just a second. But I do think that some of the trivia is really interesting because this website gives you a lot of really cool random knowledge facts that I find interesting. So, one of the first things they have here is in the beta game for Red and Blue, it was actually just known as the word dodo, which is the Japanese name for it specifically. So,
Ah,
that's probably why it ended up being what it is. Before the fifth generation, the necks, you actually notice on here they're black, was only actually black, but it turns out there's actually female and male, and the female has the same color as the body. So at some point in time, they changed it so you can actually define the gender between the two, which is kind of interesting as well. This is how in depth these guys go. They know how fast that these guys can run, and they say that a regular Dodrio can run 60 miles an hour, while a Dodrio can run only 40 miles an hour.
is that because he has three heads and it just slows him down?
Probably the body weight is a little funky, and you can't go so fast when you're that big, maybe. But it is kind of funny how detailed they get. Now, this is the only flying type that doesn't actually fly and only consists of head and body. Though in the games, it can learn the move fly.
Okay.
Who knew? So, despite the name, and this is what I brought up earlier, the doduo is more common with the ostrich than the dodo bird. However, there's an extinct bird called the moa, which is a flightless bird that used to live in New Zealand, as well as the emu from Australia, and those all kind of mix together. They also say that it resembles a kiwi with the body type as well. So these guys just went to town and decided we're going to give this thing five different birds and just go with it. And then, as I mentioned before, the combination term dodo and duo, you get the name
Right.
duo.
Right.
It is interesting. We're going to go through and see as we go through these names of the different ones. Some of them kind of make sense. Some of them not so much.
Not so much. I just want to let our audience know I'm putting a link in the chat where you can actually go look at these on Amazon and maybe pick out your favorite Doduo or whatever the names of all the rest of these things are. I'm just going to sit back and listen. I'm getting education here.
I am happy to educate. So next one up, and we actually have a couple little toys for this guy, and this is one of my favorites because he is adorable. So the first little toy that we have here is, it's supposed to be easier to open. Let's see, is it going to fling? There you go. So you open it up, and you get your little own Teddy Ursa. He's so
How
cute.
cute is that? He's so cute.
He's a little though. Don't be fooled though. He's a little sneaky little bugger. So there you go. That's loud. And then next, my favorite, we have our little plushie because as you can tell, I'm obsessed with plushies, right?
Right.
Okay, so this guy is known as Teddy Ursa. Now, interesting enough, if you look at his forehead, you have the moon symbol. That's where the Ursa comes in. So if you guys know Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, those are the constellation names for Big Bear and Little Bear, and its entry in the Pokedex is known as Little Bear Pokemon. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
This guy, just like Dodrio, is pretty much exactly what it is. You would be able to tell this is a baby bear, and when it evolves into Ursa Ring, it becomes a bigger bear.
There you
One
go.
for you that actually makes sense. Now, this is a normal type, though he can learn different moves like fairy and fighting as well.
Mhm.
And this guy was introduced to us in Generation 2, known as the Johto region. And this was Ash's second part of his journey. And basically, I guess I should. Would you like a little region explanation for?
Sure, why not?
So what Pokemon did, which was really clever, was they mapped out different areas based on cities of the world. So, for instance, Kanto is kind of based off of Japan. Johto, I believe, is based off of kind of like a New York style city-ish area. And the list goes on and on as they go. Each region has gym leaders that you have to battle to win badges. Each region has specific Pokemon. So while you can see Pokemon from previous, you'll actually meet new ones as you go. So think of it as traveling the world. We have animals here that don't live in Africa and vice versa. So if you want to see African animals, you have to go to the continent of Africa to meet them. So that's kind of how the regions work. And, I know I'm kind of going all around, but as I'm thinking of things, I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can to those who might not. However, if you don't know Pokemon,
like your mom,
you're in the wrong business and you shouldn't be here. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Teddy Ursa was introduced in the Johto region. Now, he's adorable. He shows up in the main series, and the first thing we see him do is kind of love on the three main characters. And we think, oh, he's adorable. And of course, one of Ash's companions that goes with him, Misty, falls in love with them, thinks he's so cute. It turns out, though, it's one of his fairy move that actually hypnotizes you to make you think he's cute. And he then steals all your food and heads off back into the forest to meet up with the rest of his little bear buddies. However, by the end of this episode, he actually evolves into an Ursa Ring. They all take off because they're like, we're not battling this thing. And he just sits there looking like, what just happened?
Right.
And the episode ends. So he is very cute. He may not be the nicest one, though. He's adorable. You gotta love him.
I know, he's adorable.
He's adorable.
Even if you don't know what a Pokemon is or him in particular, he's cute. I mean, you might as well get cute.
If you're going to fool somebody, you got to look the part, and you're going to look the part here. So other than that episode, he's been in multiple others. He's been in multiple movies, such as The Power of Us, as well as Celebi, The Voice of the Forest. And that's the other thing, too. There are so many movies and sideshows that go with the main show that you literally, if there's a website that I found by accident that literally lists the entire series, and they actually spliced in the movies. So if you want to watch them in the right order, you'll actually know where everything goes.
Well, you know what, Rob? Let's get that link, and we'll put it in the comments after the show so people can go check that out. That sounds really interesting.
It is, and it's actually really helpful for somebody who might not know it all, or maybe just somebody who wants to kind of find the key parts. This will kind of give you down. So he's been in a lot of other things, of course, the video games as well. He's been in the manga too. So let's give you some really cute facts about this guy. At least, we'll see if they're cute. Sometimes they're just weird. Okay, so let's see. So Teddy Ursa is one of 14 different Pokemon with a foreign Pokedex that can be collected in Diamond and Pearl. So a Pokedex entry is it's a little, it's basically the machine that tells you what it is. So think about how science writes down all the animals they've ever met. This little portable device basically records everything about that creature in your pocket. It's the iPhone of the Pokemon world, basically. And what it means by foreign is that because there's so many different versions of the same game, that each individual country has different entries for it. So an entry basically says, it reads Teddy Ursa, the whatever Pokemon, and then it gives you a little line about it. But because everything's translated differently, or just because maybe the game is different, there's different entries for that.
Got it.
Now, another interesting thing about this guy is the sprite. I don't know if you've ever heard of a sprite in a video game, but it's the little character that you see in the video game. So they're usually one-dimensional. They're kind of fuzzy. They're not really. They're more pixelated. But because he has different entries, he also has different sprites in the video game, and he's only one of the few that does that. One of the things that they do in Pokemon is they have parallels. So one Pokemon might parallel another. In this case, he actually parallels another one that I love named Fanfi. He's a baby elephant, which I got to show you a picture because he's adorable. But what it means here is that because each region has different versions, he's in one, Fanfi's in the other. So basically, Fanfi takes the place of him and vice versa. And in order to get them all, this is where you trade with people. This is where you link up your Game Boy to somebody else when you had to link up your Game Boy back in the day. And that's the parallel there.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Now, let's see. So despite being in one of the newer games, Sword and Shield, an earlier prototype was actually drawn in as just an image, but not an actual Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And then they put him in. And that happens a lot, right, in video games because they have and this is one reason why I know that gaming can do what they can do, because they have the game set up before the game goes live. Well, so when they go and they say, oh, well, we can't do that because it's on the code, you look at them and go, it's in the code. You just didn't flip the switch to turn on the little guy.
There you go.
So that's your little electronics thing. So now the origin of the name, of course, we decided he is a bear cub. More specifically, they call him the Asian black bear because most likely being that that's the species that lives on that side of the world, the creator probably copied it in that form.
Makes sense.
And literally the name of what the Asian black bear in Japanese means ring of the moon bear. And there you go. You got your little.
I see that. Okay.
You'll notice that a lot of times they put a lot of culture and grammar into this, which is one reason why I love this franchise so much, because Nintendo generally is good, but Pokemon really tends to go the extra mile and give you
the whole story.
It gives you an entire story of what's going on, and they use real world.
Right. That's unusual, right? That's unusual that a game literally.
I mean, back in the 90s when we had good franchises, there was Super Mario, there was Sonic, they put the effort in. However, as time went on, not everything translated well. For instance, if you guys remember that weird live action Mario movie, there was recently that Sonic movie. It's not that it's necessarily badly formed, but it doesn't seem to translate. Like when it says it doesn't age well, it doesn't.
There you go.
In 2020, it looks horrible compared to when it was 1992.
Exactly. That makes
Pokemon,
sense.
However, I mean, you can see all of the posters I have. These were made more recently, and they still hold up pretty well.
The franchise continues. The franchise continues.
The franchise continues. Now, of course, the last thing on here is they say it definitely resembles a teddy bear, and it can resemble any cute species like the sloth bear, the sun bear, or what you call the honey bear, kind of like Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
Now, the name origin comes from a mix of the word teddy bear, Teddy, and Ursa, which is Latin for bear. So Teddy Ursa. So we'll show him one more time.
What else do you have on your list over there?
Huh?
What else do you have on your list that you're showing?
Oh, Lord, I don't even know anymore. What am I on right now? I am... Okay, so this actually, now I changed my shirt for this because I have one of the evolutions on here. Huh? And an evolution, I will explain, is what Eevee, so that little brown guy in the middle you see, that's Eevee. The surrounding ones, that's what he can transform into depending on what kind of stone you turn him into. So he becomes a water version with a water stone, fire with fire, electric with electric, and so on and so on. Now, the one we're going to do today and I think she's adorable. Well, I call it a she. I think there's both genders. But this is Sylveon.
Oh,
Sylveon we got to meet in, I believe it was, it's right in front of me. I don't have to guess. Um, I believe it was Gen 6, and this is actually owned by one of Ash's other companions named Serena. She
okay.
had an Eevee, and she decided to evolve it into this particular one. This is the first time Eevee became fairy. Now, this was a big deal at the time because up until then, there were so many typings, and people wanted Eevee to be everything. So he had been water, he had been fire, he had been electric. He eventually became dark and psychic. He then became ice and grass. And lastly, he became fairy. Now, with the new game coming, he's probably going to have a whole new set of evolutions. So we're going to see what happens
Um,
there, but that's for another day.
it,
So
it,
this
it, so Rob, it would appear that when they do this and have different generations, it's allowing all of the fans to continue to be fans because there's always something new that's coming, right? You're not going to get bored or like not want to do it anymore. So it appears it's not just for the new people that are coming in, but it's more for all of you fans that have been doing this for so long. And it's like, what's coming next, right? You want to know what's going to come next.
Exactly. And a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people in the company, there are leaks that unfortunately happen, but sometimes they're kind of cool because you go, "Oh, that's what I thought was going to happen. That's
Hmm.
awesome." Then you get just even more excited. But, and as I mentioned before, with the new game coming in November, right now everybody's looking at all of these past Pokemon and going, okay, are we going to get a new regional version? Are we going to get a new evolution? Are we going to get a new color? One actually that usually is blue is now actually going to be black, and it becomes a new type. So
Got
it's
it.
the same Pokemon from before, but it's a different color and different typing. So the interesting thing about this guy is that usually all you need is a stone to evolve it and you're done. This brought in one of the things in the game where you actually had to become friends with your Pokemon. Now, how does one do that? Well, you usually battle with them, usually feed them, usually give them special stuff. So if you want this one, you actually have to go the extra mile to actually make him evolve. Otherwise, you're never going to get one. And this is one of those things in the game that you either love or hate. Some people are like, God, this takes so long. Some people are like, I'm going to put in the effort, make that happen. And then when you get it, it's that much more worthy.
Sweeter.
Now, you'll
Yeah.
notice on this one, the coloring is different. One of my things I love is shiny hunting. And this is actually a shiny version. Usually she's all pink, but when she's shiny, she becomes blue on all the parts. So this
Okay.
is actually a shiny version of what we have up there, but the item is the same, just a different color, basically. And that's also something too. I'll kind of glance over quickly, but a lot of these that you have, you can get in different forms. You can get shiny versions, you can get different versions of it. So this one here is a big deal, mainly because of the fact that it's one of Ash's companions. It happens to be one that there's kind of a little love story behind with the two of them, so that's even deeper. But Sylveon is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And this is one of those things where you go, fairy types, ugh, that stuff never works. But trust me, fairy typing in the Pokemon world is probably going to kick
Good
your
thing.
you know what into high heaven. So
Awesome.
don't count them out. Now, let me give you some of the interesting facts here while we have it. Oh, actually, I forgot the other thing that came in the mail.
That's a beautiful blankie.
Let's see, it's upside down, isn't it? Where is it?
I
Oh,
think
no, it's
it's
still upside
yeah,
down.
but it's okay. It's what is that like a soft blanket? It looks really soft.
Yeah, it's smaller than I expected, but it's definitely one that you can throw on the couch. And
Uh-huh.
after we throw it through the wash, we're gonna pop it on the couch there. I think this is like 8 by 10, I believe. And then lastly, because I'm a Lego fan, a brand called Nanoblocks actually makes almost all of the Pokemon in here. And trust me, this is not easy. Like you see the size of these things, it's annoying. It's annoying. But this is their version of Lego, and actually have an Eevee. I just built another one the other day. So next we're going to build this guy, and of course when we build it, I'm going to take a
Yeah.
picture and we'll throw it up on the thing there. Okay, so some trivia here. According to an official Nintendo interview, Ken Sugimura, one of the creators, said Sylveon was designed by another one of the creators, Atsuko Nishida. Um, It's always weird to see that kind of thing because for me, I'm like, who the hell is that? But I think it's probably specific people that are more into the company than others. So I do throw the names out there because somebody somewhere is going to go, oh, I know that name.
Yeah,
So
right,
there you
exactly.
go. Let's see what else.
Because I have
Okay,
some.
so Sylveon was one of the first ones to only be the only evolution in a season. The
Hmm.
first three that we see on there, the water, the electric, and fire, were all shown at once. So these three, these two were shown together, and these two. Sylveon here is the first one to be shown by itself with no other Pokemon, which is also special because you care more about doing so. Okay, so the origin of this Pokemon, in contrast to the rest of Evolution's pointed ears, Sylveon's ears are more large and rounded. You can tell in the other ones they're more fox-like.
Right,
She has more kind of soft ears, we can say. And because of that, they believe it gives her more of a rabbit look, which I can kind of see. Take away the face, she's got the cute little rabbit
right,
ears.
right.
Fairies were thought to be particularly active under the moon, and because of this and the rabbit association, Sylveon is based off of what's called the mythical Asian moon rabbit, which is a
Uh,
old Japanese and Chinese mythical creature. See, I learn things too every day, so there you go. The
wow.
moon rabbit is often portrayed as a companion to the moon goddess of China named Chang, who is frequently depicted wearing a robe adorned with many ribbons, hence the ribbons, which is also the feelers. She can sense things with her ribbons there. Sylveon might also be based off of Cultus Equa. I apologize if I mumbled that name. She is a moon goddess in Ugrian mythology. Again, and she shape-shifted into a hare of all things. So there you go, more rabbit. In addition, its cries in one of the new video games are more similar to a cat, so it could be what is called, and I got to look this up after, a cabbit hybrid. Apparently, it's a cat rabbit hybrid.
A
I've
cabin.
never heard of that before, but
Well,
there
you
you
heard
go.
it here first. You heard it here first.
You
Okay.
heard it here first. Now, its name origin is probably a combination of the word sylph, which is the elemental of air, identified with fairies, and the word eon, an immeasurable long period of time, possibly referring to how long it takes to evolve. Eon is the suffix of all Eevee evolutions, and was Eevee's English prototype name as well.
Ah,
In Japan, they call her Nymphia, which is off of the word nymph, which is a water fairy associated in Greek
got it.
mythology.
Okay.
So you'll notice a lot of that too. Japan has their names that were translated, and for some reason, whether it was not
Right.
appropriate or whether it just didn't work, we have different names than they do. Now, lastly, I know you got the photos for this.
I have pictures here. It's my favorite. Which one do you want me to put up first? Do you want me to put up the slippers or
Let's
the
put
big
up the
bag?
slippers first. So we'll do these products really quick. So these are, as you can tell, adorable. We're going to have to fight over them now because they're a little tight to wear in, but they're adorable and it's hilarious. They're so big on your feet that you look, and they squeak still. So they still have that shoe squeak. So when you walk around, you hear eep, beep, 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 which, you wear into that as you go. So that's the first one here. And if you don't recognize this face, then you definitely don't know Pokemon. This guy is one of the most unofficial. I have him all over the place here.
Right.
It's Snorlax. And this guy is probably one of the greatest things ever created. He basically is a giant hibernating bear, and all he wants to do is sleep and eat. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Now, interesting enough, this is one of the few that we have on here that Ash actually caught as one of his own. And that's a big deal too, because for the longest time, people were going, "You're making it too easy. He's catching everything. Don't do that. Give him something else." And out of the blue, in one of the episodes, I believe it was Wake Up Snorlax, he actually had to catch Snorlax to get him out of the way so they can actually get to the next town to keep going. So he didn't actually want Snorlax at first, but in order to move, he had to actually catch the thing. Now, the beanbag is going to give you more of a thing. So let's throw that up really fast to show
Okay,
you.
hold on. I'm going to bring it up. Hold on. We got a comment wanting to know, was it really a cat bit? That's the wrong one. Was it a cat bit or a rab cat? Oh my
I
God.
don't know. So
This.
as you can tell, the dogs have taken over. But as you can see, so this is Snorlax. So he comes without the stuffing. You buy the stuffing separately. But this thing is one of the coolest things ever. And for the longest time, I think still in Japan and here, people like it's so popular. This thing goes out of stock so quickly because people want a beanbag. And
Right.
you'll understand it if you know the character because he looks like a giant squishy bear. You can bounce off his belly. He doesn't care. He's
You
asleep.
can
He'll
hug
basically
him. You can hug
you
him. You
hug
can
him.
like,
No,
yeah.
you don't really want to get a hug. He's kind of big. He might accidentally squish you, but you know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So Snorlax, we're going to go back to the first region we talked about in Kanto, and we got an introduction to him there. He is known as a rarer Pokemon, meaning that in the games, you actually have to reset it a few times to find him. And I
Mm.
will just tell you a weird fact here. I don't do this, but people will reset a game almost 5,000 times to get a shiny starter Pokemon and then start playing the game. They will literally reset the entire game over and over. And at some point in time, and this is the random number generator, we've talked about this before, and it's the bane of my existence. I hate it. But they will restart the game just to get a shiny Pokemon, and then they'll play the game.
So would
And
you
then
say that's a hack?
if it is, it's probably the worst hack in the world because it takes you like years to figure, maybe not years, but it takes you a long time to get done. And there are literally YouTube videos that are 3 hours long just trying to get that one shiny Pokemon.
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I like shiny hunting. I don't have that much time in my life to do that. No offense,
Right.
but that's just me. So back to here. Again, he's evolved from one called Munchlax, who's a tiny version of him. And in order to evolve him, you actually have to have friendship as well. So you have to be nice to your Munchlax. You got to feed him. You can pet him in some of the games. You can play games with him, and then he'll evolve. There's also something called the Pokey Flute, and yes, it is. It's a flute, and apparently you can wake up Snorlax with the flute because it's kind of like the Pied Piper thing, and he will kind of just,
Right.
poof. Now, the biggest one, as we mentioned, was Ash's Snorlax. And it's hilarious because you can tell Ash loves every Pokemon he gets, but you can tell when he gets some of these, he's like, God, why did I end up with this? But as he goes on, and this is one reason I love the thing, he becomes bonded with them as his friends. The weird thing about this entire whole thing is you're basically capturing wild animals and making them fight each other, which sounds like a horrible thing to do.
Yeah, it really does.
But with the anime, with the manga, with stuff like that, they fleshed it out a little bit to make it more of a we're not just going to have you fight each other. We're going to have you, evolve with them. We're going to have you, a battle with them. We're going to have you fight the bigger guys with them, and you're going to have this whole cool adventure. So Snorlax is one of those guys that there you go. You did hear correctly. So in Wake Up Snorlax, that was where he first met him. But later on, and this is where you see them using their smarts. There's a sumo wrestling competition, and the prize is a year's supply of Pokey food. Well, Snorlax says he's cool with that. So Ash gets his Pokemon sent to him from the lab to fight. And what's crazy about this is that Snorlax is one of the stronger Pokemon, but rarely does he actually use it to any full
Ah,
potential. It's most of the time spending time back at the professor's lab back in Kanto region, just relaxing, eating,
right.
doing whatever. And you see him do this thing, and he's doing a sumo ring, and he wins. And of course, the first thing he does, he eats the entire year's food in one swallow, and then falls asleep.
No.
And that's the whole thing right there. So Snorlax is. I can literally do a video just on him, which we probably should at some point. So Snorlax, like I say, he's been everywhere. He's still everywhere. He's in the new anime. He's showing up everywhere. But I want to go to the trivia because one of the funniest facts of anything here, and I got to get the guy's name first, so I call him correctly. When asked, when Game Freak was asked, what is Snorlax based off of, and why is he so gluttonous? So he was named, and this might be just a kind of a joke, a man named Koji Nishinu, who is a rather heavyset man who works for Game Freak, admitted that Snorlax is me.
Oh,
I am
wow.
Snorlax. I made this whole thing. And in one of the Game Boy games, Koji is in the game as a character, and he actually makes a joke about Snorlax, And then he goes, now I'm going to go back to sleep. And his character leaves and falls asleep, just like Snorlax would do in the game too. So I thought that was a hilarious little like punch at the character. But the fact that these guys can do that and put so much effort into putting their people in the game is pretty cool. However, what visualize, it is a hibernating bear. So he is a giant sleeping bear, giant teddy bear. Some people even call him what a food coma is when you eat too much food and you take a nap. So that's also what he's called too. But I just thought I had to throw out that guy there.
I think I love the trivia part of this. You've mentioned so many different Pokemon. Is there a plural? Pokemons? I mean, how do you?
Just Pokemon is singular and plural. Yes.
So I mentioned earlier, if you're just turning in, obviously this is a show about cute Pokemon. Not all the Pokemon, just cute Pokemon. I just wanted to, in the meantime, share what this list looks like. So if you click on the link, it's going to take you in there and you're going to see Dodo Duo. Is that how you say it? Doduo. You've got all the different things that we're talking about in addition to the blanket and the bean bag. So if you just have to have something like that in your collection, go check it out. The link is in the comment.
So the last thing I was just going to say was his origin comes from the word snore and lax or relax, Snorlax.
Oh, okay.
That's what you do when you're sleeping. You're snoring and you're sleeping. So that's what we got for today. I'll do another, pop up some guys really quick because you can never have too many stuffed animals, right?
Look at you.
This is like 2% of what I have. If I showed you my bookshelf, I'd probably be embarrassed. We also have our little Pokeball Teddy Set. So if you want to really be a trainer, you can get your little, he never stays up in here, but what does?
Yeah.
You got that little guy. We have the blanket here, which you got Sylveon. And then lastly, we have the Nano Block Lego set of Sylveon as well.
And if you're a Lego lover,
like there's always so many cool things. I will shout out to the Pokemon Center in Japan, who basically makes most of these things. If you look at a lot of these tags, they are, Pokemon Center official. The tie that I got for the wedding, that was a Pokemon official tie. It only came out of their company. But I got to hand it to them. I mean, usually I'm one of those guys that goes, okay, too many things, stop making stuff. But Pokemon tends to run the gamut. It's kitchen supplies, it's bedding, it's toys, it's decals, it's clothes. Now this stuff comes off of Etsy too, but obviously these people are getting
they're licensing it. They're licensing it, yes.
Yeah, off of whatever. So I just want to shout them out really quick because that if you want a really cool, odd toy or product, check out this Pokemon Center. They have so many things. You can buy a vending machine with Pokemon soda in it.
Well, I think we should go do that then.
I'm down. Let's just go to Pokemon Center. Take a plane.
I'm going to be totally honest with you, Rob. Which of course I should always be honest. My head is exploding right now. I hope there's not a quiz at the end of this because I'm going to fail miserably. But clearly this is, as I said a little bit earlier, this is like a whole story arc. I mean, this is not just you go and play a game and then this evolves and obviously it's kept you involved. I know there's a whole thing going on with Niantic and going out and doing all, we're not even going to touch on that today, but this is a fun thing. I mean, clearly this is a fun thing to do. When I first heard about Pokemon Go years and years ago, it was like, what the heck is that? I mean, why do people do that? And it has evolved and continued to evolve. We want to let people know how to, let's see. Yes, there are. I'm going to put that up there. Yes, there are. Geez, there's a lot. And you said 800, right? There's 800 of them or something like that?
Well, actually, at this point, probably more because there's going to be an entirely new region in the new game. So maybe 900 to 1,000 at this point. We don't know yet. I mean,
that's great. That's crazy. What we want people to follow you and go check Rob's out. He does shows every single day. But you can go over to his website at altereduniverse.live. You can check him out on LinkedIn. You can check him out on YouTube, and go over to YouTube and subscribe, because as I said, every day there's a different show, a different kind of topic. And I know you do other Pokemon shows. So if you're watching right
Yeah.
now and you're just like, oh my gosh, I love this Pokemon stuff, go over to Rob's YouTube and subscribe, because you'll get another one. And you got Twitter, and you also have your nerdy shop. So go to nerdy.shop. And of course, if you want to follow me, even though I have no idea what we're talking about right now, sort of, it's Karen Glasser everywhere, Karen with a C. So check that out. Any last thoughts about cute Pokemon that you want people to go away with and not forget?
Well, I will say, to make it easier for future shows we do, because I know we're going to see all these guys again soon, I'm sure, we will break it down a little bit to more specific ones. Maybe just on bears, because there's really only 3 bear
There you
Pokemon.
go.
So we'll do that. So that's the first thing I want to say. We will break it down and make it more digestible. But really, the title kind of just popped in my head. But really, it's kind of it's just a filler. Every Pokemon, in its weird way, even the really weird looking ones, are kind of cute too.
Yeah.
But I would just say, if you got to take away from this, go out, play the game if you haven't. Again, if you haven't, don't start, because you're not going to hear the end of it. But if you are a player of any of the games, whether it's the new ones, the old ones, if you're a watcher of the anime, if you read the manga, whatever it is, just enjoy it and have fun. And you know, I'll touch on the Pokemon Go for a second. The good thing of all this is who the good players are versus those who are kind of either sucking up or just being rude. So if anything good comes out of it, you know who you want to play the game with
Got it.
on Twitter and all this other stuff. So just pick your people, pick your battles, whatever you want to do, but have fun with it. Pokemon, first and foremost, should not be connected to other companies. It should just be its own thing. So when you hear Pokemon, just think Pokemon.
Pokemon. Cute
Right
Pokemon.
there.
Cute Pokemon. All right. Well, this is the first of many, many, many shows. And next week, I think we're doing For the Love of Animals, right? No, we're not doing that one. I know. We'll figure it out. We're doing something next week. I can't remember. Go out, give somebody an awesome day. And Rob and I are going to be back next week for another Altered Universe Live. See you later, everyone.